So debt ceiling is nothing but controlling or limiting the amount of debt that US can raise internally or externally. So what is the point where you say, okay, this is the roof for debt? So we would really like to understand what debt ceiling is and how it has been cleared and what were the struggles when debt ceiling took place in other economies and within US, but during other leadership. So we have with us dealing desk manager Niviya Thankathurai to explain this.
Hello everyone. Thank you Shreya for the introduction. So I'm here to explain about US debt ceiling. So what exactly is debt ceiling? Why it is gaining lot of attention among us? So let me decode that for you. So debt ceiling is the maximum permissible borrowing limit for the US government, which they can raise it by means of issuing bonds. So debt ceiling was coined right in 1917 in the Second Liberty Bond Act. So why it was introduced? So the main reason, the first and foremost reason is like in order to have a check with the US national debt, because unless until there is no capping, US national debt or any debt of the country can increase humongous. So in order to have a control over it, this term was particularly introduced. And the second reason is like in order to have a legislative ease. So right before the era of debt ceiling, whenever that U.S. Treasury is supposed to get the borrowings, they are supposed to pass a bill both among the House of Representatives, and once the majority voting is received from the House of Representatives, it has to be passed on to the Senator, and finally it has to be signed by the President. So it is actually a tedious process. We should understand the fact that US government is actually able to pay all its spendings almost by 40% from the debt alone. So it's not like an rare event. So it is very frequent event. So technically it is not possible to pass a bill before every event. So let's go back to the history. So, right from 1960, US debt ceiling got it increased by almost 78 times. So, under the Reagan's period, not once, not twice, almost 18 times it got lifted. Under Bill Clinton's period, it got raised by almost 8 times. Under Bush period, it got increased 7 times. Then during this Obama's administration, it got increased by 5 times. So I wanted to explain like what exactly happened during the Obama's administration, because in 2011 it is considered to be the debt ceiling crisis. So during this particular period, both House of Representatives and Senators, they were not able to come to the common ground. So literally 2 days before the default, they were able to push the debt ceiling. So ideally credit rating agencies, especially S&P, with to the AAA rating, that was the first in 70 years. So that is like a big event. So it eventually increased the borrowing rate. So this was not expected by the market. So S&P 500 almost crashed by 17 times. So that was like a huge crash right after the financial crisis. So let's talk about the current conditions. So currently the debt ceiling limit is almost $31.4 trillion. So US government hit the debt ceiling by almost by the end of January. So right now, according to the Secretary of the Treasury, so they are routing out like different payments, and there are it is expected that by 5th of June it might go like out of hands. So if they were not able to push the debt ceiling, then we will be able to witness the catastrophic event of US government going default for the very first time. So I believe that is not happening. So right now with the recent development, so the bill has been passed on from the House of Representatives to the Senators. So it's right up to Biden right now. So I believe even if according to the law and regulation, even if the president is not able to sign the bill after 10 days, it is automatically considered to be a law. So I believe this chance of not pushing the debt ceiling limit is very minimal. What if hypothetically if the debt ceiling is not able to get pushed higher? So in that case, like as I told previously, or the credit rating agencies will downgrade the bonds, and borrowing rate for the U.S. government will get increased. And according to the Moody's analytics, it is expected it can eat away if U.S. government is not able to pay the debt for like almost 3 months straight, it can eat away almost one third of US GDP. And it is also expected that stock market crash like immediately 30%. So I think this is like an extreme case, like but it there are like very minimal chances like it can happen. And right now like for the bill to be passed, like there are like spending cuts are also being proposed. The one very predominant one is like in non-defense sector, the spending is almost going to be the same for 2000 for the year of 2024 right as 2023, and in 2025 it is going to be pushed by 1%. So, and moreover, when we talk about the parameters which are included in calculating the debt ceiling, I'm not sure whether it is practical enough because it's depend upon the gross debt. It's not depending upon the net debt. So even if the U.S. government is have if they have like excess reserve in social funds, so it will not be accounted. So they are left with no other option to push the debt ceiling. So I believe in the future, debt ceiling will be considered as a ceiling because right now it is considered as a comma. Because whenever if the U.S. government is pushing the debt ceiling, there is also always a way to push the limit. And in the future, I believe there will be some improvisation with the parameters to be calculated, either net debt or debt ceiling with respect to the GDP will be considered, so that this event could have been avoided in the future. Thank you, everyone. That's all from my end.